For this project inspiration, I am pulling out my watercolors. Number one, it's something that I don't use that often, and the challenge is pick two plus red. So I am choosing some of my watercolor colors. I'm using purple, red, and orange. Seems like not a color combination that I normally use, but they work because they all sit next to each other on the color wheel, so they're all warm colors. I first started with some cold pressed watercolor paper and sprayed my paper, sprayed my watercolor palette, and I'm just going to be making some circles with various colors. Now you'll see that because there's water already on the paper that all these colors meld together and they're all blooming. So you really want to dry them in between, because if not, you're just going to get a bunch of messy colors. So now, because it's dried, I've got this really cool muted tones. So I'm just going to add some more layers, some more swirls on top of the circles that I've already got. And I'm just going to go back and forth with different colors, drying and adding colors. And because only my little palette is wet with water and I've not wet the entire portion of my paper, I can get away with adding multiple layers of color on top. Well, I really didn't like what I did to that background, so I'm going to pull out my gesso and cover up most of the green backgrounds. Using gesso can really tone down colors. It can do a lot of really cool things. So pulling out the gesso is going to help me cover that color up, and it'll also give a waterproof layer. I like that a lot better. Next we cut them to size, and yes, I do save all the little strips. I will throw them in a basket and save them for my art journal. One of the things I collect are canceled stamps, and I have a little drawer full of lots of them, and so I'm deciding on which stamp to add to my bookmark. I'm adding just a little spot of adhesive to each of the pieces on my bookmark because I'm going to be stitching around it. I don't want any of the adhesive to gum up my needle, so you want to make sure that you add it strategically. And once I'm finished stitching around the edges, I've used a fairly wide zigzag. You just want to make sure that you're not going to perforate the paper with all the little holes. And I have the thread tails, and I'm going to just tie them in a knot and trim them closely. So here are my two bookmarks. This one I've used a packing tape transfer from book paper.